Need to cover your surfing tracks quickly? We'll show you how on this hour of Call for Help.
I hope these people can help me with my computer.
Oh.
A technician will be with you in 4 hours.
4 hours?
You can upgrade for just $5,000.
What?
The Universal Serial Config board should be set to ID 6.
I need that in plain English. Help!
Leo Laporte at Call for Help. May I help you?
Oh, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome. It's time for Call for Help. This is the show where we help you get the most out of personal technology. That's our mission here, and we love doing it each and every day. And I do it with my Call for Helpers, the lovely Monica Latanwa and Andy Walker. Good to see you guys.
Hey.
Thank you.
Look at Andy. He's kind of doing the sprockets thing today. You're all
Yeah, this hour on Call for Help, I am going to dance.
dance. You know, if we had a black background, you'd be like a floating head.
Yeah.
Of course, if we had a flowered background, I'd be like a floating head, and that would be as scary.
And I'm kind of...
You're khaki.
Khaki.
Were you in the service?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what are you going to be doing today on the show?
I'm going to show you how to cover your surfing tracks really quickly.
And this is an answer to something that one of our studio people asked about. By any chance? Camera 3 over there? All right, so this is actually everybody wants to know this. In fact, it's funny on the radio show. We'll get, I got a guy call once. He said, my wife is out of the country, and while she was gone, I was looking up some old girlfriends on the internet just to see what they were up to. But now every time I type this, you know, like the first 3 letters of her name pops up. You know how that happens with the autocomplete?
Yep.
He said she's coming back tomorrow.
What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah. So this is a, and then there's always the one. A friend of mine was going to sites he shouldn't have. So this is one of those things. We're going to help them cover their tracks. There's legitimate reasons too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I can think of one if I.
If
hard
you
drive
can think of one,
space.
call us.
Hard drive
Oh,
space.
that's it. Yes.
What are you going to be working on today, Andrew?
Speaking of hard drive space, I'm going to show you a little utility that's in this, you know, it's a system tool in Windows XP that helps you clean up your computer as well.
Oh, good.
Makes more space. So it's all about space today.
All right. And I have space between my ears, so that's fitting right in. Making space with Disk Clean with Andy. Copying web text cleanly. Monica's going to show us that. And early warning signs that your hard drive is about to melt down. John Christopher is here. From a company that specializes in rescuing hard drives. In fact, this company a couple of years ago hired a crisis counselor to man the phones because, you know, when your hard drive dies, you go, my hard drive right now, man.
Are they that sucky?
Huh?
Are they that sucky?
Hard drives?
No, the people that are calling you.
No, and this woman has experience like on suicide lines, crisis counseling lines.
Wow.
So they brought in a trained therapist to answer the phones so that she could say, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Just take a deep breath. Calm down.
Well, my brother called you panicking too before.
People panicked when the hard drive.
Yeah.
So a little hard drive 911. What to do before your hard drive crashes, and then what to do after it crashes. That's coming up with the Drive Savers, folks. But before we do anything else, the most important part of this show is what, Monica?
Our callers.
Oh, finally. It only took us 14 episodes before we figured that out.
Yeah.
Who's the first caller of the day?
We have a Nightcam caller.
Okay.
And it's Derek from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Oh, Nova Scotia. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
Derek.
Let's say hi to Derek. Hello, Derek. Welcome to the
Leo.
show. How are you today?
I'm good.
What do you got, a little monitor farm there behind you?
I knew you were going to ask about that.
What is that? What's going on?
I got three monitors lined up.
3 computers or just 3 monitors?
Well, 3 computers under the monitors, but trust me when I say I didn't just do that for show.
Well, why do you have so many computers behind you?
Well, actually, my school gave them to me.
Oh.
My school actually just gave them to me, and I didn't have any other place to put them. I didn't want to throw them out.
So these are kind of old, obsolete computers?
Yeah, they're all old Macs.
Oh, they're Macs. Well,
Yep.
what do you do with them?
Well, I boot them up every now and then, just make sure there isn't any dust keeping them from actually running.
Derek's running a museum.
Yeah, I'm gonna start charging admission.
Where do you go to school?
Caledonia Junior High.
And are you the kind of, the resident geek guy, the technician that helps everybody?
Well, I got one other guy, but he just went on to high school, so I'm all alone now.
Oh, that's so cool, Derek. Well, that's neat. It's kind of, and lately these days, that's kind of what happens. The kids know more than the teachers when it comes to this kind of stuff. So the kids end up running the computer lab. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, what can I do for you today?
Well, I know this sounds like a really, really basic question, but like a lot of computer users, I leave my computer on pretty much 24/7, and I heard lots of different things from different places. On the screensavers, I heard a hard drive has a certain number of hours before it just dies, and
Right.
I don't want that to happen. I mean, I heard you talking about how they had counselors. Talking to people whose hard drive crashed, and, I can see myself,
Yeah, actually, this is a good question for John Christopher, and I'm certainly going to ask him when he comes on later in the show. But, so you want to know if you should turn it off? Is that it?
Well, I also heard you saying that it's actually less stress on the hard drive spinning up and spinning down if you just leave it on. And, the temperature stress, there's less of that if you just leave it on. And
so the question is, should we leave our hard drives on or turn them off?
Or sleep the computer or what?
And it's the same, actually it's the same thing with the computer in general. Should we leave the computer on or off? Let me talk first of all about that, hours of operation on a hard drive. They call that mean time between failure, or MTBF, and all hard drives come with an MTBF rating these days in the tens of thousands of hours.
Yeah.
But let me tell you a little bit about how you get that. Western Digital comes out with a new hard drive where they're going to wait 10,000 hours before they tell you what the MTBF is? That makes no sense. So what they do is they literally get 1,000 hard drives or so in a room, and they run them all till they fail, till one or two of them fails.
Oh, really?
So let's say it takes 10 hours for 1,000 hard drives to get one of them to fail. What's the mean time between failures? 10,000 hours. So that's how they calculate it. So it's really not a real number. You can expect any hard drive to last anywhere between a month and 10 years. That's the problem. You don't know, do you? So I don't think leaving it on it makes it any worse. In fact, I stand by my original statement that the bigger stress on the hard drive is powering it up and then powering it down. As you power it up, they put stress on the hard drive to spin it up. The motor has to work harder to get it going, and then of course the bearings heat and cool as you power it up and power it down, and that expansion and contraction of the bearings also adds strain to it. So I think probably if you wanted if what you were concerned about is maximum hard drive life, I think probably you're right. Leaving it on would be the best. Now, having said that, I don't think it makes that much difference. I think really more important is make sure you be backing up stuff. That's what I know. That's what John Christopher from Drive Savers is going to say. Make sure you back the darn thing up, because you don't know. This hard drive could fail in 10 minutes. You just don't know when it's going to fail. I mean, I know this hard drive's dead because we opened it.
I've been putting it off and putting it off I used to back it up, but my backup drive ran out of space. It was only 10 gigabytes.
No excuses. I don't want to hear those excuses. Use those old Macs behind you. I don't care what you do, but do back up, and I'll tell you, you'll be really glad about it. Now, I want to talk to Andy, because I have to say I have an opinion about turning computers on and off. It does stress them more to turn them on and off, but I think it saves power, and I think energy and conservation is more important. It's not your computer's going to outlast you. Look at those computers behind you. You don't even want to use them anymore. But they're going and going. They keep on ticking. They've been turned on and off all the time. So save the power, turn it off. But now I'm going to ask Andy what he thinks.
Well, I turn my monitor off, but I leave my computers on 24/7.
You leave it on 24/7.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
And the only issue that I've ever run into with that was I had lost my bearings went on my fan.
Yeah.
Because I think the fan is taxed very, very hard.
Absolutely. I've had a fan fail too. Now that is a big issue, because the heat that's caused when the fan fails can cause the whole thing to fail.
Yeah, I put an extra fan in just in case of that, actually, because I was worried about that too.
I say power down at night. Okay. I think you should. I think nowadays computers have the Energy Star stuff and they slow down. They only use a few watts. But I say power it down at night. When you're not going to use it for more than a few hours, power it down. It's okay to do so. It's not going to wear the thing out more, and you save energy. Okay.
Right.
Hey, thank you for the call, Derek. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you, Leo.
Chief Geek at what school?
Caledonia Junior High.
Caledonia Junior High is it Caledonia, Nova Scotia? What's the town?
It's in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Halifax.
I live in Dartmouth, but it's by Halifax.
You are. I'm all confused. Thank you, Derek.
Never mind. Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Hey, it's great to talk to you, sir.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Isn't it fun to talk to the Chief Geek? When we come back, cleansing your computer. First hint, no oil of Olay. Stick around.
Olay.
Yes, that's right. Now go away. Welcome back to Call for Help. Andy is here to tell us about cleaning. He's a very clean fellow. He bathes at least weekly.
Whether I need it or not.
Saturday's bath day here at Call for Help. So what are we cleaning?
We're cleaning our hard drives. We're getting rid of all the old junk.
Yes, a little digital cleaning.
Little back-to-school cleanup.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, there's a fantastic utility built into Windows XP that basically looks for all the junk and the discarded files and the extra bits and pieces that we just don't really need. So it's a sort of a one-button type of cleanup, which is very useful for beginners.
How do we use it?
Let's go to our start bar.
Okay.
And actually, you know what? I'm going to close this down.
He's already got it running. That's
but I want to show you
unfair.
how to get to it.
Yeah, we want to see how to do it. Yeah.
Because click on Start, click on all
Hold on a second.
programs.
Let's get the screen up on the TV before you show them. There we go.
I'm going to go all the way up to Accessories. And my favorite folder,
the System
Tools, right here. And see
It's all in there.
Great utilities.
It's good to explore that, actually, because there is some good stuff in there.
But it's going to click on Disk Cleanup, and we're going to be asked, which drive would we like to clean up? And I'm going to say my C drive. But you can do it actually on any of the drives.
If you have more than one drive.
More than one drive.
Wouldn't make any sense to do it on a CD-ROM.
No.
No.
Well, no. Read-only.
However, any hard drive, this would make sense.
Yeah, any hard. So I'm going to just center this here. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can clean up. You have a downloaded program area. Temporary files, and we'll talk about that on a free file later on.
Before you go on, what is a downloaded program file? Is that my downloads?
Those are folders where, when you download a program, there's a folder where everything goes into.
Oh, okay. So was it going to delete something that I want?
This is just the install files.
Okay. So this is when you install, for instance, you go to a website and it says you want to install something for the website, like Shields Up or something like that. That's where those go.
Yes.
Not like the downloads if I download the next copy of Winamp.
Winamp.
Oh,
because you're going to be specifically putting
that's a different folder. Okay. Got it. Temporary internet
files. Those are like working files. These are sort of scratch pads that Windows uses to
create. You got 48 megabytes in there.
I do.
That's considerable.
That is considerable, exactly. And then, there's an option in Windows IE, not that we use IE, but that allows you to save web pages offline.
So if you're going on an airplane flight and you want to read a website and you can't get online, you could download the site, in effect, and read it.
Yeah.
But those can occupy huge amounts of space if you use that feature.
Right. And here's the big dinosaur. Now, it's in the Office setup files. When you install Office, all the install programs are actually saved to your disk.
How much is that?
Well, I've had 300 megs on 384 megs. I think when I did the last Office 2003 install. Right. So that's a sizable chunk. And if you have an older machine, and that can take up a lot of your hard drive space. Now I know that you like to leave them on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it just depends. If you have the space, you may not want to check that box because, for instance, when you do Office Update, and by the way, there's now Office Update just as there is Windows Update. You can go to the Office page of Microsoft and have an automated update, but it will want those files. And if you don't have them on the hard drive, you'll have to put the CD in.
Right. I'm just thinking for people, have an older computer.
It's a lot. 384 megs is significant.
As long as you keep your disks around, because when you do those updates,
you got to have
your CDs around, right?
And again, these are all. You could make a choice in all of these. You could check or uncheck any of these.
That's right. This, of course, the famous recycle bin.
48 megs for you.
Yes.
Wow.
I've been dragging a lot of stuff to my recycle bin on this show.
So you don't empty your trash. Now you have a Norton protected recycle bin because you're running Norton System Works. This won't empty the protected files.
No, you have to right-click on that and do it explicitly. Exactly. So this is this is basically XP cleans itself up. It doesn't actually generate
clean other people's messes.
Right. Exactly.
Temporary files. Quite a few of those too.
Quite a few of those. And then, this is another feature I don't ever rarely use is compress old files.
Now that's not a bad thing to do because it's transparent. They uncompress pretty much instantly. You wouldn't want to do it with something you use every day. But if it's something you don't use, that's why it says old files. Don't use a lot. That could save a lot of space too.
But there's things that I would leave dormant for a long, long time.
But you may want.
But I may want. So I don't know. And then I have to point people to, because this is going to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. This, in my case, is 48 megs worth of stuff.
Not
bad. If that's not enough, I always like to go to the more options because I think it's a really important thing, and people don't click around on their tabs. You can actually uninstall Windows components.
Things you don't use.
Extra fonts, things you don't use, accessories, accessibility options, things like that. And that'll take you. So, say again?
Those can add up.
Those can add up, yeah. Install programs, it'll take you to add, remove program folder, and of course system restore points, which we talked about on a recent show, which is sort of a photograph of the way your computer was, and over time those accumulate, they become very, very big files. So you can get rid of those every now and then.
And then you press OK, and
let's do that. It's just for fun.
It's going to you're going to release 48 megabytes. Maybe not a lot, but maybe if you're running short. We had a caller the other day couldn't defrag because you just didn't have enough space. Yeah. And you suggested, and you're absolutely right, run disk cleanup first to see if I can save enough space.
It's a good one-button cleanup. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
If you want to know more about that, our website is callforhelptv.com. That's where you'll see more about everything we talk about on the show. Time for a short break. When we come back, it's the People's Corner. Free files. Also, John Christopher's here to show you what happens when a hard drive gets shot through the heart. Stay around. A lot more to come. But first, it's time for our daily quiz. A question of the day, also at callforhelptv.com if you want to answer it there. On your PC, Apple's FireWire. On Windows, on Apple's FireWire is known as AEIOU, R2D2, 802.11, or IEEE 1394. Get to the website and give us your answer. We'll talk about it when Call for Help continues. For today's free file, Monica will show us how to copy text from a website without all the formatting. And actually, I want to know this because I'm always copying text from websites,
like for our research.
For research and stuff, yeah, not to steal it, but I would like to know how to do it without all that because I know you get the formatting.
Yeah,
and then you have these big letters.
Yeah, exactly.
How do we do it?
Well, first visit stevemiller.net and download Pure Text.
The Steve Miller? Fly like an eagle, Steve Miller? Time keeps on slipping into the. All right.
Okay.
See, I thought, when I came to Canada, one of the things, the deal was I could sing and dance.
Sure, go ahead.
But now they're telling me no, better not.
Go ahead. As long as it's not Andy.
No,
okay.
Please. Don't encourage me.
So this little Pure Text program, actually, it sits on your systems tray as well.
Okay. I see the little PT in the system tray. Yeah.
So let me demonstrate what it does. So let's go to your site.
Yeah.
And let's say I want to copy.
Well, that's a graphic.
But
the stuff below it. Yeah. Okay.
If I normally copy Control-C and go to a Word document.
Look what you get.
And Control-V.
Icky. Oh, you even get the graphic.
Yeah, look at that.
And weird stuff.
So I'm like, what am I going to do with all this? It's taking up all that room.
Yeah.
So instead, with Pure Text, if I hit Windows V, look.
Oh.
It just copies the text.
Oh.
Isn't that nice?
Wow.
It's neater.
You know what
it's
it did that was smart, though? And I really like this. That Welcome to Leoville graphic has an alt tag that's, for handicapped access or people who are using screen readers and don't see the graphic.
Oh, great.
Or even just text browsers. It took that and used that as the text there. So you still got the Welcome to Leoville, even though that's not on the actual page.
Yeah. And if you just right-click on
I love that.
Options, there you go. You can actually choose how you want to paste.
So it doesn't have to be the Windows V.
It doesn't have to be Windows V. I just chose that.
I think that's good, though, because that's memorable. It's like Control-V, but it's...
Yeah, exactly. So
how much would that be? I love that.
It is so free.
So free. It's so free, man.
So free.
Cool. Pure Text.
Free as a bird.
Free as a bird. We love it.
Yeah,
our free
text.
file of the day, and we have a link, of course, on the website.
Yep.
Callforhelptv.com. Wow. Thanks, Jillian.
We got a call.
Monica Latano, who's on the phone?
We've got Steve from New York.
All right. Hey, let's go say hi to Steve from New York. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Welcome to the show. It's nice to have you on.
Leo, I speak for all Americans when I say we miss you. And I personally find this situation just another reason to be envious of the people of Canada.
It's so great because the people of Canada are just eating this up. They're saying, ha, 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 ha. So, but, we are working very hard, Steve, to get the show in the States. And just call your favorite channel, whatever that might be, wherever you think we would fit, and say, hey, you guys should pick up Call for Help.
You bet. We're trying.
Good. Thank you, Steve. What can I do for you today?
The question is, on my home machine, I run XP Home Edition.
Okay.
And I know that, when you start up the program, you see the little icon start up, specifically the virus programs.
Yes.
And but when I usually start up the computer, I just have a login screen for multiple accounts, so it just sits there for a while till somebody actually uses it.
Right.
Is the machine actually protected at that time while it's sitting at the login screen?
Isn't that a great question? So when you first get into Windows and you aren't yet logged in, but when it's just sitting on this screen, I'll show you the screen in a second here. There you go. This screen waiting for you to log in. Is the antivirus running?
Right,
no.
Is anything running at that time?
It is not. The key auto protect features I believe, I see Andy's calling Symantec right now, but the key auto protect features don't actually run until you log in. Now, it would be possible for them to have a driver. Andy, you were talking to Symantec. Did you get any information from them yet?
They're going to check on it, because I think the new version of antivirus actually does a pre-boot scan.
Well, now that's not unusual. Some antiviruses will do that. When you're booting up, they'll scan the master boot record, and that's a good thing. But I have to tell you, Steve, that you're not really susceptible to a virus when you're sitting, because not only is the antivirus not running, but you're not opening attachments. I mean, and the truth is, the one kind of virus you can get in this situation, the antivirus is not protecting you against anyway. And that virus would be a worm, a network worm like Sasser. The minute you're on the network,
Right.
You are susceptible to these network worms that use flaws in Microsoft Windows to sneak in. Sasser was a very good example. The flaw has been patched. If you've run Windows Update, you're safe, but many machines haven't. In fact, if you take a brand new Windows box, or you make a brand new install of XP, and you plug it into the internet, within a minute, you will have Sasser, because it's just floating all over the network all the time.
So you're better off not sitting at the login screen, you think? Just log out?
No. Here's what you need to do. You need to have a firewall running.
Right, okay.
The firewall will protect you. And the best kind of firewall for this very reason is an external firewall. A router is fine if you have a broadband router to share internet access.
Yeah, I have a Linksys. Well, I use a Linksys wireless router.
Perfect.
So,
that blocks Sasser. Sasser cannot get through that.
Okay.
So you are totally protected.
Okay.
Now, a good question, and something I'm going to have to investigate, is and I believe it's true, the Windows firewall, for instance, is that running before you log in? I believe that's true. So I believe that if you have a software firewall, because that is running at a driver level, that does load before you log in, you're all right. The issue is applications don't load till you log in, drivers load before you log in.
Okay.
So if it's a driver-based firewall or antivirus, you'd be safe. But even if you're running Norton antivirus, if you don't have a firewall running, you're going to get Sasser, because Norton is not looking at network traffic. It'll detect it later when you run a scan, but the auto protect is not looking at network traffic. It can't. It would be too much for it to scan all that stuff.
So the router is really a good
The
thing.
router is a very good idea. That's your first line of defense. You've got it. Congratulations. I think you don't have to worry. You could sit on that login.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky so far, but it's always bothered me having it sit there sometimes for hours.
Knock on wood, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Take care. It was a very good question. And Andy's going to get a call back from Symantec, and they'll let us know. That's a really it would really mean that the antivirus would have to run as a driver. It would run before anything else did, even including the login. And I think that's probably where we're going.
Well, they're going to have to, because if it is not happening right now, it's gonna. Somebody's going to come up with a virus that's going to get us that way. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the truth is most viruses get it through email, and they can't get it through email till you log in. So you're safe from 99.9% of the
You've got to think there's going to be some sort of virus. It's a sneaky stealthy
virus.
naughty
Well, that's what Sasser is. A network worm would, I think. When we come back after this short break, John Christopher of Drive Savers is here. He's got a computer that was driven over by an 18-wheeler. A big truck crushed it. Can you save the hard drive? We'll find out. Hard drive 911. I'll call for help. Continue. Stay right here. It's an 18-wheeler. Welcome back to Call for Help. Early warning signs that your hard drive is about to melt down in this segment. John Christopher is here from Drive Savers, a California-based company that has saved hard drives for people all over the world, including some pretty big names like Sean Connery. And welcome, John. It's great to have you back on Call for Help. You've been a stalwart on Call for Help for many years, and it's really nice to see you up here.
Thank you. I'm wondering when you guys are going to give me my own show.
Yeah, practically. You ought to get one. How long has Drive Savers been in business?
Since 1985.
Oh, wait a minute. We got to get your mic on.
Hello.
Somebody, come on over. You can do it. You can do it, Adam. It's okay. And we don't make our guests turn on their own mics. How about that? Can you hear them now?
Since 1985.
85 you've been doing it?
Yeah.
In 85, gosh, that was like 20 meg hard drives. I mean, that...
Oh, even smaller.
Really?
Yeah, 10 megs.
Yeah.
I mean, they were very, very, very tiny
Has the technology for recovering the data changed since
Absolutely.
What do
yeah.
you do now?
Well, the areal density, the amount of data you can put on a hard drive platter has increased radically.
Oh, God, yeah.
You've got 100 gigabyte drive is pretty much standard.
Right.
So, we've had to do a lot of different things. And
So it's a harder job to recover data from 160 gig hard drive?
yes, it is. Absolutely.
Because it's the little teeny.
Yep. Yeah, we have special microscopes. We have our own proprietary hardware and software that we've developed to recover the data.
So it's not just software recovery. Sometimes you'll actually open up the hard drive itself.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to go in. Drives are mechanical devices, so they can fail at any time.
Right.
That's why you got to back up.
Oh yeah. In fact, that last caller would you say that was an accurate answer?
Yeah, and I mean, as my personal rule of thumb is if you're not going to use your computer for more than 8 hours, you should definitely shut down.
It doesn't
Turn the
stress
thing
this
off.
unnecessarily.
Yeah. Putting it to sleep is good too, but you still are using a little bit of power there.
Save the power. So what do we do before? Because that's really the most important thing. Once we know that this could fail at any time, it makes sense that we should take some precautions.
Absolutely, and certainly number one is going to be back up your data, as always. We want to say that. It's important also, I think, when you back up your data, to make sure if you're using an automated program to go back and check your files, make sure that things are working properly to go in, and use a disk utility if you can. The Mac and Windows operating systems have
like check disk or scan disk.
Scan disk, right? Very fundamental tools, but of course, investing in more powerful tools is helpful and beneficial, but they can also lead to problems down the road, so you got to be careful.
Things like spin right, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is disk utilities are wonderful in a preventive mode, but sometimes you can get into more trouble if your drive
Don't mess
crashes.
with them too much. You're right. Once it crashes, then it's a whole other matter. Don't start messing with the disk.
Yeah.
In fact, I usually tell people if they're not going to take it to somebody like Drive Savers, to do an image backup of the disk before they attempt to recover it, so that they can always go back to the way it was.
There's some fantastic imaging programs that are available now, so you can make a mirror image or a clone of a drive. That's something we actually do at Drive Savers before we start every job.
Right. Ghost it first.
Ghost it. Make an image copy. So that way you're not going to affect, and you're not going to have any further data loss.
Right.
And that's what you want to avoid.
You can always go back to where it was. This is actually, as long as we're talking about this, when you look at an open hard drive like this, and by the way, never open your hard drive, right?
Right. Not unless you have a certified clean room, and vacuuming, by the way, doesn't qualify as a clean room.
You guys have a bunny suits, and there's no dust in there, because even a little speck of dust on here is a boulder to this actuator head, which is just flying nanometers above the surface.
Even a fingerprint is like a volcano basically size to the.
So this drive is ruined in effect.
I'm going to actually need that one back though. I got to take it back and recover the data.
This has Sean Connery's files on it. Once you do lose a drive, make an image backup. Are there tools that the consumer can use that are comparable to the kinds of tools that you use?
Not really. I mean, I think, number one, if your data is absolutely critical, don't mess with it. Send it to a professional data recovery company like Drive Savers.
You're more likely to mess it up than to save it.
Right. If the data is not that critical and you want to go down that path and you're technically oriented, and as I'm sure most of your viewers are, then you definitely want to invest in some software utilities. And whenever possible, try not to fix problems with your drive. If it's a logical problem, something wrong with the directory, but try and extract the data and save it off to another kind of storage media. That's a lot safer.
Very common to see, say, a partitioning error, and you can use a program to fix the partitioning error, but very often what that does is completely delete all the data. Your partitions are fine, but your data is gone.
Exactly.
So that's what you want to avoid.
Right.
What's the worst messed up drive you've seen?
Oh my gosh, we've seen them, encased in hairspray. We've seen them. People open them up and they spray WD-40, or they put them in, put them in the freezer and they expand. And there are all kinds of things that people will try to do on their own
to fix it,
to rescue their data.
And you're gonna come back and in another show and show us a drive that an 18-wheeler?
An 18-wheeler in New York City ran over the laptop.
That's amazing. Were you able to get the data?
We were.
You've had drives under the Amazon River.
Right.
You've had drives just in all sorts. But things can happen to a drive you can't recover.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, hard drives are mechanical devices. As I say, their precision instruments, really, because
it's amazing what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Those read-write heads float on a cushion of air. They never actually touch the surface of the disk while they're reading and writing data.
Right.
So they can, again, fail at any time. If the read-write heads touch the disk surface, you get what's known as a head crash.
And it gouges. It can
and
gouge.
You get gouges in the surface, right.
Yeah. And those will be unrecoverable as well.
Yeah, you scrape
it's
off.
It's kind of a miracle, really, what these things
They truly are amazing machines.
You've seen a lot of changes since 1985.
Many.
Wow. Well, John Christopher's from Drive Savers. They're in Novato. Their website is drivesavers.com. Novato, I say Novato because I live near there, so I think everybody knows where that is. It's in California. But at drivesavers.com is easy to find anywhere on the internet. Come back and show us that. I want to see that hard drive that was squished by an 18-wheeler.
I sure will.
That'll be in a later episode of Call for Help. Don't forget, when your hard drive is on death's door, we do have our own hard drive recovery guide on the website, callforhelptv.com. Things to do before you freak out and call Drive Savers. But when it gets that bad, sometimes it's better to have somebody else handle it. More of your calls when we come back. Call for Help continues right after this. Stay here. This is amazing when you see the actuator.
Yeah.
I need more power. It's time for more calls. That's what I need. Cotton, can you give me some more calls, Monica?
Yeah, we've got Patrick from Roswell, Georgia.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Patrick, welcome to the show.
Hey, Leo, what's up?
Oh, well, I'm just here in Toronto doing the show, having fun with Monica and Andy. What's up with you?
Nothing much. I'm just curious, are there any compatibility issues between Windows and Macintosh OS X?
Oh, interesting. Are you thinking of switching, or you want to have a Mac
I'd like to switch. My entire household is a PC group, and I am a big fan of the Mac.
Ah, so you want to get them over to your side, huh?
Of course.
Well, I have to say, the big advantage nowadays of doing that is you don't have to worry about spyware as much. You don't have to worry about viruses. There hasn't been a virus on the Mac in 3 years. You don't have to worry about a lot of the security issues that Windows people worry about. Not necessarily because the Mac is so much safer. I think it is inherently more secure. It doesn't have some of the technologies that Windows has that makes it a real prey to hackers, but more because the Mac is kind of a backwater. Frankly, that's the advantage of being 3% of the market, is that the hackers go after the 97% of the market. So they're all working on Windows. You're sitting on a Mac, you can kind of sit back, sit pretty, and not worry. My whole family's at home. I make sure they use Macs so I don't have to go around checking for spyware and things like that. So there is an advantage to going Mac. The disadvantage is the same thing, 3%, 97%. Most of the world is using Windows. So if you have somebody around who knows Apple, who knows Macintosh, that can be good news. You're the expert there, Patrick. That's great, because then they have somebody who they can ask questions of. So that's very important. You wouldn't want to go Mac if you're the only Mac guy within 300 miles.
Oh, no.
Also, you have to figure out if there's any software that you need that doesn't run on Apple. Now, for the most part, almost everything you'd want to do, you can find a program that will do it on OS X, with a couple of exceptions. For some reason, there's not a lot of computer-aided design software, programs like AutoCAD on the Mac platform. So if you are an engineer, you're doing some designing, you should make sure that actually it's true, if you're using the computer for any professional reason, any work, make sure that the programs you need will run on it before you convert over to it. And that can be a problem. Also, if you're a big gamer, you may say, I'm not going to go with a Mac. For instance, everybody's all excited about Doom 3. Can you get it on the Mac yet? No. Will it be on the Mac eventually? Possibly, but not yet. Half-Life 2, I think, will be on the Mac pretty quickly. They moved pretty quickly to the Mac platform with Half-Life 1. And in some games, in the case of Warcraft 3, for instance, came out simultaneously Mac and PC. So sometimes that happens. Unreal Tournament 2004, simultaneously Mac and PC. But a lot of times the games you want aren't available on the Mac platform. So those are the negatives. Switching is pretty easy. Do you use Microsoft Office? Is that your main application?
Yeah, that's what I'm usually using, yeah.
Yeah, well, if they're using any Office application, then switching is a snap because, in fact, the file formats for Word, PowerPoint, and Excel are identical on Mac and PC. You can create a Word document on a Mac, send it to somebody with a PC, they won't even know you're using a Mac. So that's an advantage. Same thing for FileMaker Pro. That's a very popular database application on both sides. So, file formats aren't going to be a big problem if you're using those kinds of applications. Let me think of what if some of the other issues might be. Networking is very easy on a Mac. You can join a Windows network very simply. I'm working on Andy over here to get him to switch over to a Mac. Maybe Andy, what would you be worried about when you make the switch?
Well, my entire software library is...
He's turned his mic off, Leo. He's turned his mic off.
Oh, you got to turn your mic back on. What is this with people turning their mics off here? Are you shy? So that's... You said what?
So I have this entire software library at home that I've spent a lot of money on. So as soon as I go to a Mac, I've got to replace all those titles with Mac compatible.
That's a big issue, yeah. You're going to have to buy new software. Now, sometimes they'll have side grades, cross grades that will make it a little less expensive, but you will have to buy new software. It's like going from vinyl records to CDs. You're going to have to upgrade your software. Now, Apple has a good guide to switching that I would recommend you take a look at. It's apple.com/switch, Patrick. And they actually have a step-by-step guide, getting the files off your PC, which files to copy, putting them on your Mac, transferring your email, so forth. You won't be using Microsoft Outlook. You'll be using Entourage, which looks a little bit different but has the same functionality. I mean, I would say that it's less of a painful switch than you might think, but there are issues to consider, and I would certainly go to this website. There's also this great program from Detto called Move to Mac. I don't think you need this. It's a $50 program US, but it does help you migrate some of those files across.
All right.
Hey, Patrick, I admire your gumption. Any resistance from the family?
My dad's just not quite sure about it, but he wanted to hear your answer, so...
This is for Dad. Well, if Dad uses the PC for work, potentially a problem. For instance, if he's a realtor, multiple listing services only on Windows, not on Mac, things like that. But on the other hand, if what he uses is PowerPoint and Office programs like Word, it's not going to be a problem at all. Okay?
Yeah. All right, thanks, Leo.
Thanks for the call, Patrick. I appreciate it. All right.
Bye.
Yeah, apple.com/switch. They've got a pretty good guide. And there are some also good websites from third party, people who've made the switch, talking about their experiences. You might find kind of useful. Folks, if you don't want to get caught surfing where you shouldn't be, Monica is going to show you a quick way to cover your surfing tracks after the break. But first, let's give you one more chance to answer our daily quiz. Our quiz question of the day: when you use FireWire on Windows, sometimes they don't call it FireWire. Apple said they can now, but they often call it something else. Is it AEIOU, R2D2, 802.11, or IEEE 1394? Get to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it in just a bit when Call for Help continues. Welcome back to Call for Help. Before the break, we asked you what FireWire is called in the Windows world, and it's I think it rolls off the tongue personally. IEEE 1394. That's the original engineering. Who is it? The IETF? I don't even know who it is. I always see IEEE. IEEE that establishes the standards for these things, and they established the 1394 standard. But actually, Apple, which created the name FireWire, created the technology with Adaptec, for a while was asking people for money to call it FireWire, and that's why in the Windows world they said, well, we're just going to use the engineering term for it. But then Apple about 2 years ago said, oh, come on, it's all right, you can say FireWire. FireWire is such a better name. So now more and more you're seeing people say FireWire. Monica's moment. It's Monica Latanwa with a moment.
A moment to
Ever
shine.
wander onto a site you wish you hadn't?
Adam.
By accident? By accident.
Adam Camera 3?
By accident. Don't say names. No names. Adam, not his real name. And you'd like to hide the fact that you did?
He got in trouble.
What's Adam's?
He got in trouble.
What's Adam's? Not his real name's wife's. Not her real name's name. Jackie said, "Where have you been?" So how
What
could he,
is this?
How could he, hide your face, Adam. How could he have? No, everybody does this from time to time. It was an accident.
Whoops.
Whoops.
But
what could he have done?
Okay, so
What
what
will you
Adam
do?
could have done, let's say I'm Adam.
Yes.
And I'm browsing on, okay.
I got to Leoville. Oh, no.
Adam, yeah? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing. I'm reading the news.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I gotta check my email. Are you almost done? Yeah. Okay, so what could he have done? If you're on Internet Explorer,
Yeah.
go to Tools,
Yeah.
Internet Options, and you can delete your cookies,
Okay.
delete your files,
Okay.
delete your history,
Delete.
or clear your history,
Yeah.
okay? And then go to Content, go to Autocomplete. This is what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. This is when you start typing a word and
And
it
then
gets your
clear
girlfriend's name
forms
instead
and
of-
clear your passwords.
Good. Okay.
Okay, so that's a quick way to do that.
Should
on
warn you
Internet
that clearing cookies may have side effects you don't
Yeah.
like for instance, if you have passwords that it remembers, that or the same thing with the autocomplete, it will forget those.
It'll wipe everything out.
But, and cookies usually are harmless unless somebody's really smart and knows to look there.
I got another way to delete a cookie.
Eat your cookies!
You want one?
No, very not. I think I'll do it at a television show. What else can we do?
Well, as you mentioned before, there's a Tweak UI.
Tweak UI has a paranoia tab that allows you to automatically delete not only all of these things, but recent documents, and recent applications. So if you open something you shouldn't have opened, it will also delete those.
Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you do it on Internet Explorer.
Okay.
If you're on Firefox, it's actually just a click of a button. So you go to
See,
Tools,
Firefox,
go to
they've
Options,
learned.
and go to Privacy.
What do they call it? They call it Cover Your Tracks?
No, it's just here, clear all.
Clear all.
Clear everything for
Clear
you. in
everything.
One click of a button.
History, passwords,
Yep.
everything. But again, remember, if you're going to clear
It'll
passwords,
clear everything else.
You better
Or you
have
can
a
pick and
copy
choose
of it.
which ones you
Yeah.
want.
Very
Okay?
cool. Thank you.
And don't forget, empty out your recycling bin.
Oh yeah, empty the trash.
Of course.
And there are
Which
third-party
Andy
programs.
doesn't like to do, apparently.
Apparently, 40 megabytes in there. There are third-party programs that will do this also.
Yes,
for you.
there's a History Kill, Cookie
Yeah.
Cruncher, and those are freeware, which will feature in future shows as our free file of the day. So stay tuned. And there's other stuff like Clean Browser.
Something you've never needed to do, right? Cover your tracks.
Right.
Do we have a phone call?
I'm just like everybody else. Come on.
Do we have a phone call?
Yeah, we do. We have Archie from Morgan City, Louisiana, and I'm sure he's never had to do that.
Sorry
right?
to put everybody on
Right,
the
Archie?
spot here. Hey, Archie, welcome to the show. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great. Say hi to Basil, ladies and gentlemen. All right. What can I do for you, Archie?
I have a i730 Nextel phone.
Okay.
When I go to job sites, I'd like to be able to fax back to my office when I do a drawing of some cultured marble or real granite.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how would I go about getting this done, or what kind of fax machine, or is it possible to be done over the fax?
Oh, that's cool. What are you, a designer, an architect? What kind of stuff? What do you do?
I think and do construction work.
Okay.
I do, like I said, cultured marble. We build showers. We do
How
granite.
fun. So you want to fax back pictures? You want to fax back drawings? What kind of stuff are you sending back?
Mostly drawings.
Okay, and
Drawings back to
are they
home.
drawings on the computer or are they physical drawings?
No, they are physical. I'm drawing them on a sheet of paper.
Okay, so in order to get this to work, you got a few things you need to do. First of all, you got to get that physical paper into the computer. Unless you're going to bring a fax machine with you. Are you going to bring a fax machine along under your arm?
That's what I'd like to have, a small fax machine, because I have a truck for that. I mean, I have a big enough truck
Oh,
for that.
you have enough room. All right, well, the fax machine, so now the question is, the fax machine is expecting a regular normal phone line. Can we plug it into a cell phone? No. You can't plug a fax machine into a cell phone. You could in theory. I mean, it's just making a phone call, but I don't know where would you plug it into? How would you connect it? So really, we're going to turn your computer into a fax machine. Do you have a laptop with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the first thing, all a fax machine is a scanner, which takes the piece of paper and turns it into data, a picture, and then a phone that sends specific kinds of sounds down the line to another fax machine, which takes those sounds, turns them back into a picture, and prints it out. So you can bring a little scanner with you, and there are a number of small scanners that aren't very big that you could bring with you to get that data into your computer. Now, what I would suggest at that point is you probably don't even need to fax it. You could email it as an image. It'd probably be better quality, and it'd save you kind of that fax issue. The next step is, of course, how do you get your phone, your Nextel phone, to work as a modem? Andrew, do you have some suggestions for our caller here?
Yeah, well, I actually reviewed a product called the Plan-On, a Plan-On DocuPen, which is actually looks like I've got it on my screen.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It up.
Yeah.
And it's a long pen-like thing that is actually a wand.
It's a scanner.
It's a scanner, so you actually wand it over your resume and gets that into your computer.
So it's just a small scanner you could carry with you. What's that called again?
It's called the DocuPen.
DocuPen.
It runs $200 US, $250 Canadian.
Now, my experience in the past with those devices, you have to have a very steady hand and very smooth flow to get a reliable image out of there.
It does take some practice, indeed. It does, but you get used to it.
You do,
and it has a good buffer in it. It can save a lot of docs.
You might also want to get one of those Visioneer paper ports, which is just a very small. It looks like a tube that you just put if you're just doing pieces of paper, it works fine. Now, Archie, are they? I hope they're not big drawings. Are they 8.5 by 11, or are they bigger than that?
No, they ain't by half 11 by 11. Because what it is a proposal, just a regular
I got it. If there were architectural plans, that might be more complicated because then you need to be a big format scanner. So, it's a proposal. Now that means you probably expect a fax machine on the other end. So email is going to be out, isn't it?
Right.
Yes. I understand now the issue. They are expecting a fax. So now we've got to figure out how to get that unit, the Nextel phone to the iDen phone to act as a fax machine. Now that one is a little more complicated. I'm going to recommend, you're going to have to figure out on your own, because every phone is different, how you get that phone to act as a data phone. You probably have to call Nextel and say, I need a data plan, and I may need a special cable to hook up to the computer, but turn it into a modem. And then I'm going to recommend you use a service called eFax. I use this to send faxes all the time as email. You're still going to use email, but it will come out as a fax on the other end. So I don't use a fax modem. I send all of my faxes via email, and what happens is eFax actually prints this out as a fax on the other end. You pay a little bit for the service. It's not very expensive. I think it's well worth it. So the only thing I'm going to leave out, Patrick, is that one little thing, because it's specific to your Nextel phone, of how you make that Nextel phone into a way to send or receive email. Andy obviously has the key, which is going to be the cable, that specific cable that you need, and the software you may need. But call Nextel for more information on doing that. So the solution is a scanner. It's going to turn it into an image on your computer. You're going to use email and eFax, and you're going to use that cable of some kind to get your Nextel phone to send out email. Okay, Patrick? Now, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Hey, we're almost out of time. When we come back, some final words on how you can be on the show. Stay right here. We're all here covering our tracks.
Adam knows what to do now, eh?
So, Andy, you got a hold of Symantec about the earlier question. What happens with my antivirus before I log in? And am I protected? What did they say?
No way, Jose. I mean,
there
is nothing preloaded before you log into Windows XP.
Okay.
But when you log in, if your antivirus is resident, then of course it'll do the scan. But what you can do is you can reboot. You can get into Windows. Okay, this problem with the virus is that it's going to do damage. So what you want to do is reset immediately before it does anything worse, and then have it scan at the very
But you're not
beginning.
protected before you log in because you don't probably need to be. Hey, if you want to be on the show, we'd love to get you on the show. Make sure you go to callforhelptv.com and fill out that form. If you have a problem with your personal confuser, don't whine, don't moan, don't yell.
Call for help.
Have a great day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.